Welcome back, everyone, to the MSSU Summer Show. I'm your host, Scott Humphreys, and today with me, I have Dr. Locker, one of our sociology professors. And first off, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And so I have a couple questions for you today. So you teach sociology, which is less known, at least I feel, than some other stuff like everyone hears about psychology, studying of just one's mind. But what is sociology and why is it so important to society?
Well, that is a good question because when I took Intro to Sociology, I had no idea what it was either. I had a college junior helping me enroll as a brand new freshman, and he said, "You need to take psych or soc." And I said, "What's soc?" And he said, "Sociology." And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "It's like psych, but groups," which is not quite right, but it's close enough. Most people don't know exactly what sociology is, and that's fine. I don't expect people to because, like I said, I didn't. It's important because, ultimately in society we need to deal with things. We need to deal with social issues, and a society can't deal with problems in the society unless they understand what those problems are and what's actually going on. And so that's what sociologists do. We study social issues and social problems to find out, first of all, what is actually happening, because sometimes we're wrong. Sometimes, people think, oh, there's so much more crime now than there was 30 years ago. Well, there isn't. There's more crime than there was 3 years ago, but there's still less than there was 20 to 30 years ago. And how do we know? Because people are out there studying it and counting it. So at the very basic level, sociologists find out what's actually going on. When we're lucky and smart and work hard, we can figure out why those things are going on. And then if we're really lucky, we can figure out what to do to things that we don't want to happen, what we can do to make them less common, and things we do want to happen, what we can do to make them more common. So the generic definition of sociology is it's the scientific study of society, but what that really means is we find out what's going on and why it's going on and what we can do to influence that.
So that, to me, that makes perfect sense because it's much like my major is computer science. Mm-hmm. If there's something wrong with the computer, you can't just look at it and go, that's wrong. You have to dive into it and go, what's working, what's not. So I mean, to me, that's kind of what sociology is you look at society and go, this is working, this is not. How do we fix that? And you have to understand it. So what turned you to major in sociology? Because I assume, as a kid, I don't know if you had the same thing, but most of us are like, I want to be a fireman, I want to be a police officer. What made your brain go, I want to do sociology?
It was Intro to Sociology. By the end of my first semester taking Intro to Sociology, I had decided that I liked it enough to at least consider majoring in it, and so I took more courses before I really totally decided. And then somewhere along the way, I decided, being a college professor didn't look so bad either, and so, and one of the ways, the way to become a college professor is to get a PhD in something, but the way to be a practicing sociologist is, there are plenty of other jobs involving sociology, but to really do it immersed in it the way I am, pretty much either have to be working for a government agency or, as a university professor. So that's the route I took.
Which was a very, very fair route. I mean, I took your intro to sociology class, and I think it's very interesting just because it's stuff you don't often think about. Sitting at society, you don't think about. For instance, we talked about social classes. You don't think about those because you just go, this is where I sit in society, and that's what you know. But you don't think of, well, why do I sit in this aspect of society, and how can I change that? And so I think a college professor isn't that bad of a job. It seems to be a good enough job. So if someone were to major in sociology today, what would be some of the core classes you think that would make them understand it most or would be most beneficial to them to take?
Oh, well, we kind of guide people on that. You don't have to a student doesn't have to figure out for themselves which courses to take. But anybody who majors in sociology, obviously you have to start with Introduction to Sociology. The sort of core of the field of sociology from that point is stratification, which is about literally all different kinds of social inequality. And research methods, of course, any science you major in, you're going to have to learn research methods, how to actually do it. And then theory, which is one of the courses I teach, sort of the foundational basics of what makes sociology fundamentally different from, say, psychology or economics or geography, that sort of thing. And then from there on, there are a couple other required courses, but that's kind of the core of the field of sociology, and then plenty of electives, because we want people to be able to pick and choose the courses that fit what they're interested in and what they think they might want to do, for a career once they graduate.
So you mentioned research methods. Is that something that all sociologists use actively and not just actively, but they use often? Or is that just something, depending on which way you go, you use more in others than you do in other places?
I think I understand what you're asking. And no, research, even if somebody isn't doing research on a really regular basis, there are plenty of jobs where you're just, analyzing things, stuff like that. But I think mentally speaking, we're using research methods, the things we learn in research methods classes, all the time, because you always need to think in terms of how do we know this? How do we know this is true or correct? Are there any errors here? That sort of thing. So you kind of need to know. We remember an intro, we spent a couple weeks talking about how to tell if research is done well or not.
Yep.
That's kind of critical. So I think anybody who has any kind of job in a field, either in sociology or even related to it, that research methods, even if they don't feel like they're doing research on a daily basis, we're always using that knowledge and information, because everything else is tied back to research somebody did, and you need to be able to tell if they did it well, if they did it properly, if the results are valid, if their results are reliable, that sort of thing.
Yeah, in a way, almost if you're trying to quote something, or it's very valid, because you have to, like you said, know which ones are good, which ones you can quote, which ones you can't quote. Especially for you teaching a class, you have to know, I'm giving these people the correct information. Now, this one, and I think I remember you answering this one in intro, but what is one of your favorite classes to teach?
It's intro. I love teaching Introduction to Sociology, because it's literally giving people an introduction into the field of sociology. I think everybody in the entire world should take Introduction to Sociology, at some point in their lives, just because one of the things we do in sociology is you learn to see beyond the surface and to see behind things, and again, not just what's going on today, but why is this happening? Why is it happening this way rather than that way? And that's, I think, kind of a critical skill for everybody to have. I enjoy teaching all of my classes. I'm teaching a social media class right now this summer, and that's always interesting. My cults class every year, or nearly every year, is kind of fun. But really, all of my classes I enjoy. That's one of the, to me, odd comments I get on teaching evaluations. Students will say things like, "He seems to really enjoy teaching this class." I'm like, "Well, yeah. Why wouldn't I? This is great stuff." So, but if I had to choose just one, it's the intro. So. Which
I thought was a very interesting class, because again, it's almost what got me hooked on sociology, because it was interesting to think about. I took psychology in high school. It was like, okay, this is kind of interesting, but it's different when you're thinking about one person, whereas if you're thinking about a group of people, and it makes it more interesting, because it's almost like if you sit at a park and people watch, and just kind of you see a group of people and you go, I understand why they're acting that way together, and it makes sense. But you mentioned your social media class. What is that one kind of about? Because I heard you talk about the cults class, but what is the social media one more focused towards?
Well, it's literally all of the effects and ramifications that the social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and people don't think of YouTube as a social media platform, but it is, and various others. To sort of go through, and every week we hit it from a different angle, but all of the impacts that those different social media platforms have had on society over the last 20 years, because they've essentially existed for 20 years or less, depending on which one we're talking about. All the effects they've had on society, all the effects they have on us as individuals, and then also the ways that we use the different social media platforms to interact, to project an image of ourselves to the world. It's practically anything you can think of related to that bundle. You've got social media, you've got society, and you have us as individuals, and that's always, even people who aren't on social media, they just don't realize it because their friends are posting photos of them, or comments where they mention them, that kind of thing. I mean, it's become inescapable. So yeah, we're just looking at all of the positive and negative, all of the effects and impacts of the different forms of social media on us and our own lives and on society in general.
I mean, that actually brings up great points, because that's something you don't think about. Some of the people that go, well, I don't use social media. Well, if you've ever been posted about on social media, if you've ever...
Yeah.
Technically, no, you don't have an account, but you have a presence there because someone's talked about you, So that's something that is very interesting to talk about, because I do have several family members that are like, I don't have Facebook, but you've been posted on Facebook.
On it.
Because people... family members go, well, look at this party we had, and you're now on there. Like every year we have a Christmas party. Every year they get posted on Facebook at the Christmas party. So it's very interesting, because that's, again, something that I go, I don't actually think of that often.
Yeah.
Or stuff like I don't have Facebook, but I've been posted on it many times. So that's something that I'm like, okay. So. You said the intro class is something that you think is your best one to teach, or you feel is almost your favorite one.
But it's my favorite, yeah.
And I assume that's also the one you think people will learn the most in as well, correct? Or is it a combination of classes?
I'm not sure I'd quantify any of them as learning the most. I mean, every other class I teach is focused on something specific. Collective behavior is focused on riots and rumors and fads, that sort of thing. And the social media class is focused obviously on social media. Well, the intro, it's, we hit a entirely different topic or area every, week or two all semester long. So it's a much more broad approach to, this is what sociology is, this is what we do, these are the things we know, this is how we know them, that kind of thing. So that, in that sense, like I said, I wouldn't say you learn the most, but it's maybe the most eye-opening, especially for people who don't even know what sociology is in the first place.
Yeah, it almost like for you, it gets people hooked into it, and from that they just decide where they want to learn more. Because at least for me, and granted it's the only sociology class I've taken, but I feel like I learned a lot from it. And it could be for like several things, like I'm a scuba diver. So when you scuba dive, there's one class that even the people who teach the classes go, this is the one class you will learn the most in, because the rest it's like, we don't need to teach you to swim, you can swim. But there's this one class that it's like, you learn the most in this one. And so I didn't know if maybe like the intro class was kind of like, you can already look at other people, but this is a class where you understand why you're looking at those people, and based off of that, how you can understand how they function as a group. Not just like society as a whole, but just looking at like a group of three friends. Why do those group of three friends function together versus why these group of two friends function together? And I feel in that class, I most understood that, because I think even just sitting around, you just see people walk by and it's like, I know why they're compatible. So I want to thank you for being here. It was I think sociology is almost one of my favorite classes that I took last semester.
Almost.
Just because it was so interesting. It was something, again, that you just never think about. There's so many things in life that we don't think about until we actually learn more about them. Like, that's really interesting. So again, I want to thank you very much for taking time out of your, I assume, since you're teaching class, you're a very busy schedule this summer to be here, talk a little about sociology. If you guys are interested in taking any sociology classes, you can go to the sociology page on the MSSU website and see what classes we're taking here in the fall. So I want to thank you all for being here, and we'll see you all next week.